Hey legends, welcome to another YouTube interview series with Ishraj, where we tell you the stories and life lessons of world's top 1% people and entrepreneurs. Today, the guest I'll be interviewing is one of the fastest growing real estate agents out there. I've seen him grow massively fast in a short period of time, and he was undoubtedly one of my first people I wanted to interview. This guy is different, and when I say different, I really mean it. He pushes himself to the limits that you can't even imagine. Not even 5 years into real estate, and he owns a Lamborghini, has his own real estate agency, and has also been a professional basketball player for a while. And the best part, he's only 30 years old. What I like the most about him is that he's somebody who would not talk the talk, but rather walk the talk. I can go on and on about him, but I think it's best for the man himself to tell his amazing stories and achievements. Without further ado, join me in welcoming this incredible man, and above all, a guy full of humility and ready to serve others mentality. Mr. Bryan Casella, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate that. It's always tough to respond when you get an introduction like that, but thank you for having me.
Bryan, tell us your story, your failures, your successes, your ventures, and all those lessons that you've learned along the way. Starting from the very beginning, take us on this journey of your life, and let's create a conversation as we proceed. Enlighten us and teach us, Bryan. Why are you here to start with? And what's your purpose in life? What drives you, Bryan?
Great question, man. If we could take it back to my childhood, I always grew up with dreams and aspirations of being a basketball player and making the NBA, like a lot of young people who started playing basketball. And I started playing basketball around age 11. Previously, I had played soccer, but once I picked up a basketball, I don't know, maybe it was my life's calling. I just suddenly became very attached to it. I wanted to always push it to the next level. I was always one who showed up early to practice, was the last one to leave. My parents would get upset because it would get dark outside and I would still be outside playing. And even back then, I had very vivid visions of me being in the NBA, playing with the crowd, and which was very real to me. You fast forward, I was one of the individuals who, I didn't have all the success on paper, right? I didn't get recruited too much out of high school to get a college and play in university. I did end up getting a scholarship, but I was always the player that was told, you're not going to make it. You're too small. You're too this. You're too that. You fast forward. Yeah. I mean, I'm taller now. Dude. When I graduated high school, I was probably 5'9", 5'10". So I wasn't that big, right?
Yeah.
And, I played in college too. And I was always told in college, okay, that's it. You're not going to play professionally. And I ended up playing overseas for a couple of years. And I stopped playing because of injuries, basically. I had 2 ankle surgeries. And I said, you know what? It started to affect my mentality. And we know that whatever you do, your mental state and your mentality is the most important thing. I lost that killer instinct that I had after my second injury. So I said, you know what? I'm either going to do this 100% or I'm not. So I decided to stop playing.
Yeah.
Looking back now, I still know that if I had the mentality that I have now, back then playing basketball, 10 years ago, I truly believe I would have made it a lot farther than I did. I truly believe I would have made it to the NBA for sure. Because this was what was holding me back.
Okay,
sure.
So it's all a game of mindset more than anything else.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, people will deny that, but it's the most true. If you look at somebody like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, if you could dive into their brain, you would understand that long before they got to where they were, that seed was already there of greatness. And they said, I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to dedicate my life to this. And that's really what it's about. So I stopped playing basketball. And for, I would say, about a year, I was almost like in a depression because I had dedicated from age 10 or 11 to 25, basketball. I didn't know anything else. I had to transition now into the quote real world, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So for a year, I didn't do much. I just felt sorry for myself. And those were some of the lowest times of my life when I think back on it. And I'm glad I went through it, and I'll get into that here in a second. But after a while, I said, okay, that's it. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm only 25, 26. I have my whole life ahead of me. I'll find something. So I start looking for about 6 months. You know, I'm going back and forth doing job interviews, and I would sit at a job interview, and while the interviewer's talking to myself, I'm just saying, this isn't for me. Like, this is for me. So I was being offered jobs saying, nah, I don't want it. And one day I was driving by a building, and it had a sign that said, make $100,000 your first year as a real estate agent. And I thought, okay, I'm sure one person did that, and now that's the poster. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that one person and learn from them. I go inside, I talk to the owner, the broker of the company. I sign up for the classes on the spot. And I remember going to the office a few days later, and everybody was there. And I made an announcement from the front. I said, ladies and gentlemen, you see this top 10 list right here? I'm going to be on this by the end of the year. Okay. Everybody laughed. Haha, yeah, whatever. We've heard that 100 times, blah, blah, blah. But that was the moment that I was like, okay, let's do it. So you fast forward, I did all my courses, I got my license, and I started doing well right away. You know, I dedicated myself. I was always absorbing stuff on YouTube from other mentors who told me what to do. I saw the average real estate agent struggling so much, but I went to the top 2 or 3 people and said, tell me exactly what you do. I don't care if it's a tremendous amount of sacrifice. I don't care if I don't like it. I'm going to do it. And that's all I did. And my first year, I did pretty well. And it was about 6 months into my first year that I started doing social media and doing video and all that. But I saw 4 or 5 years ago, I said, this is it, right? This is going to be the future. Nobody's doing it like I'm doing it now. And I just started doing it, man. And pieces started falling together. And as far as the struggles, man, too many to name. I remember my first broker, the broker owner of the company, said, dedicate yourself to mastering the mind. If you can do that, you'll be successful. And I said, yeah, whatever. I don't need to do that. I'll just work hard. And about 3 weeks in, it slapped me in the face. And I said, man, I'm dealing with so much adversity and emotion and uncertainty right now. I have to figure this out. So that's when I really dove deep and started studying Anthony Robbins. And I got into studying social dynamics. I got into studying, NLP and hypnosis and sales. And I dove headfirst because I knew that was the ticket, right? Everybody was avoiding that. They wanted to get it the easy way. Oh, I just want to pay and make money and market. No, I want to learn the skills. I want to do the hard stuff that nobody else wants to do because I learned from basketball. It's those who commit to that ultimately get to the top. And it's just been a journey since then, dude. I've been doing nothing but accelerating at a rapid pace, growing, making more money. I have a team now. I'm traveling and speaking now. I sell products. I mean, there's so much that I do now in a short amount of time that it's a blessing. And at the same time, I had the vision for it, right? And when I got assigned to do something new or try something new, I always went full force. And that could be the first lesson I teach people is, as you're along your journey, whatever it is, you will find indicators on what to do next. What most people do is they look at it and say, and they start thinking about it and analyzing it. I said, let's go. And if I make mistakes, I'll figure it out. I live by the philosophy of ready, fire, aim. And it has worked tremendously for me. And I think people are maybe watching your content, watching mine, and they're too comfortable sitting here watching instead of doing, right? And putting into application.
I love this. Ready, fire, aim. And I just add to that, you just have to go as far as you can see in life. And once you reach there, you'll see further in life. There's no final destination in life until that death knocks at your door and takes you away. That's the way I think like-minded people think. Let's go back a bit to your basketball career. I've seen in many of your videos where you mentioned, apart from mindset, discipline played a major role. Define discipline. What is that word for you? I mean, what's discipline for Bryan Casella?
Great question, man. Discipline to me, if you were to ask for my personal definition, it is the strength of your commitment, no matter what. That to me is discipline. If I commit to waking up every single day for the rest of my life at 5 a.m, right? What's going to measure if I do it or not? My absolute commitment to it. And that's going to be my discipline. Are you disciplined? Do you do your tasks every day? To me, it comes to that commitment. That's why if I commit to something, I check myself internally and I say, okay, if I'm going to commit to this, is this really what I want? Is this really where I want to go? And if my own self doesn't say yes, then I don't do it. Because people who have been following me for a while know that when I say something or say that I'm going to do it, I do it. I'm one who holds to his word. I would challenge anybody to go back to my old videos and look for something that I said that I would do that I haven't done yet, right? So to me, discipline is commitment no matter what. You commit, you do it, and you show up every single day.
Cool. It's like do it anyway, whether you like it or you don't feel like it, but you have to love it. That's the point, right?
Especially if you don't like it. You know why? Because even if you commit to something that you're passionate about, there's bits and pieces and moments of everything that will test you that you're not going to want to do. For real estate, for people, it's making a phone call or talking to strangers. That is a necessary part of the process that you have to embrace and do no matter what. Not everything is rainbows and sunshine. Hey, I want to be a social media star. Well, it's not going to be easy because there's going to be times when you post a video and you get 2 views and you're sitting there saying, well, this isn't working. Can you still stay disciplined after a month, 2 months, 3 months? Time will tell.
That's all about what Steve Jobs says about being passionate about what you do, because if not, you'll die at the end. Bryan, I really believe success lies in being unique in your approach and doing things differently, which you are doing. But for those who don't know about you, how are you differentiating from other people out there in the real estate business?
Sure. I could probably narrow it down to 2 or 3 main things. Number one, I was really the first one on a large scale in my industry to merge video and social media with the real estate daily life and career. I really believe that I was the first one who did it, right? And on top of that, my character and my brand, and this would be number 2, is I'm not afraid to break barriers and bend the rules a little bit, okay? When I came out on the scene, the public's image of a real estate agent is an older person, who's very conservative. I'm the opposite. I'm young and I have a big mouth. So I knew that would get attention. Now, of course, what people don't see is behind that is a tremendous amount of dedication and skill. But if we're going to talk about differentiating factor, I would say as a brand, you have to stand out. We're brought up to blend in, but when you get into the real world of entrepreneurship and social media, which now has millions and millions of people, how can you stand out? Well, the way that I dressed, the way that I carried myself, the way that I spoke was very different from the average real estate agent. So that's a tip to everybody. If you're entering a world, look at what is status quo or average in that world and don't do it. Do something different. And at the same time, it has to be, and I think this is the key, is it has to be different, but it has to be also in tune with your essence as an individual, right? If somebody tries to be me and it's not really them, it doesn't make sense, right? So I would say pioneer would be number 1, merging social media and real estate together. And 2 is just what I represent, right? The certain aspects about me that clash with the image of what a normal real estate or salesperson is.
Okay. You've achieved a lot in real estate so far. And if you had to go back to day 1 and redo everything again, what would you change? What things would you do differently now that, you've been through it, all those ups and downs in real estate?
Yeah. Well, I would say there'd be 2 things I would do differently. Number 1 would be I would have really utilized the people that I already knew in the current circles that I had more to grow my brand and start doing business. A lot of people, when they're new in any type of business, sometimes they find themselves hesitant to contact people that they know because they feel like, well, I'm a rookie. I better get good and create something before I start talking to people I know. The people that you already know are your biggest asset, period. So utilization of your current circle, number 1, right? And number 2 is I would have taken advantage of video and social media much sooner. People to this day, my friends, still do not see the power of this. I just came right now from a store. I just moved to this new neighborhood in this new house. I went to the store and someone else, oh, hey, BC, hey, Bryan, I watch you on YouTube, hey, and it's happening more and more. So what you don't realize is other people in the store are listening. Oh, who's this guy? Oh, you're a real estate agent. And now you create this effect. That's marketing. That's branding, ladies and gentlemen. So
amazing.
Social media, from day one, I would have done social media instead of waiting.
Amazing, amazing. People who's watching, please take notes here. This guy's amazing, where he's going in life. Well, many people who's watching again also complain about, not having money and they wait forever for that money to come to start something in life. And as I said, that wait is forever. So basically, they end up not doing anything in their life. I believe the best time to start any business is when you're poor, you don't have money, because then you don't have anything to lose. How true is that? And truly, Bryan, does it take money to make money? Take us back to that first day again of your real estate career when you don't have that money. And how did you go about solving that issue there? And tell people who are watching whether it takes money to make money.
Well, I can answer that first real quick. It's not a necessity, no. You can use money to make more money. However, you don't absolutely need money to make money. And this is what I mean. When I started, I believe that somebody who comes from a humble beginning or less money actually has an advantage, because once you do break through barriers and you start making money, you have direct experience of what it's like to not have. Therefore, you will cherish and be more grateful for what you do have when you start accumulating it, and you will know what it's like to be with nothing. So the odds of you going back are going to be much less, unless catastrophe happens, right? If there's an earthquake and everything gets destroyed and you're selling real estate, okay, there's going to be a halt. But, if I could take you back to when I started, in the beginning, you're going to have to sacrifice. And this is what people don't understand about business. You're going to have to put in a lot of time, effort, time for minimal gain. You may see somebody else who's already successful and you begin to compare yourself. You're like, well, that guy's making, $10,000 a day and he's only working 7 hours. I'm working 20 hours and making $5 a day. What's going on? Well, you missed the 10,000 hours he's put in before you. Anything like an airplane, a shuttle or ship going to the moon burns the majority of its fuel in the beginning. That's how you have to think about it. You're going to be tirelessly working to build your brand, whatever it is, in the beginning with minimum to no gain. But you need to understand that in the web of life, as you give, and you're putting out that energy, eventually it will circle back to you. It's just a matter of time. For some people, it's quicker. For some people, it takes longer. However, to think that your efforts are wasted is very foolish, because your efforts will, bear fruit. It just takes time. When I started calling and going door to door, for the most part, aside from a few lucky sales, it took months and months and months of doing it every single day for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day to then begin to see results. The majority of people, after 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, they give up, right? So understand that your efforts will be rewarded. It's just a matter of time, and it has to be disciplined, consistent effort.
Amazing. We're talking about discipline, hard work, consistency, and knowing what you're doing, obviously. I'll add a bit here about being born poor, because I believe in that a lot. I wasn't born with a golden spoon fed to me. I believe that if you're born poor, let's just say we have a scale of 0 to 100, when you are basically at 0, and even if you grow like 5, when you die, you've grown, right? But then if you're born at 199 or whatever, it's harder to maintain that as a rich kid there. So at the end, you'll fall down. So there's growth when you're poor, but there's no growth when you're rich, if you see what I mean. So I think those who are poor are lucky, but they don't see it. This is the way I see life. Anyway, so I was going to ask you about your teamwork, because you've mentioned that at the beginning. Tell us about your team, especially with your girlfriend, Oida, being a great part of your success of what you're building right now in the real estate. They say be a boss, date a boss, and build an empire together. And I can totally see you and your girlfriend do that. So how did you build that team? And could you tell us the whole story behind that?
Sure, yeah. Well, from all the people that I've studied, like Tony Robbins and those type of people, one of the underlying datums that I always learn from them is, well, if you build up enough other people and help them, you will be compensated for it much greater. And that's the way I thought about it. I said, alone, I can do a lot. With a team or tribe behind me, we can conquer the world. So Where people get messed up is, let's say I start hiring people and bringing people on. Everybody thinks that if I hire a new person and I give them money, I'm losing money. Okay. This is a mindset shift you have to make. You are investing in a new person to later get a bigger gain. Okay. So now I invest money in my team, which, by the way, now I have three agents under me. Okay. I invest money into them, but later on, what does it give me? More freedom, more time, and more money. Because now I have 3 or 4 individuals who emulate me out in the marketplace instead of just one. Okay. The way it started, my friend, was I started thinking bigger. And I said, I can sell maybe 30, 40, 50 homes on my own. If I want to sell 100 or 200, I need other people. Okay. So all I did was I started modeling after people who did it before me, right? I learned that again from Tony Robbins. Model success. Success is a formula. And all I did was I started giving the best of me to everybody, because my end goal in mind was, yes, have a big team, but I also want to give people the opportunity to grow underneath them. Just like I brought on my girlfriend and 2 other agents, I want them later on to be able to hire agents. So it's once you go from self to team, you have to change your mindset a little bit, because it's not just about you anymore. I'm making a decision that has 4 or 5 people's welfare at stake. So I have to think bigger and I have to plan ahead more. And it really came from wanting freedom, right? We all do this for a lifestyle. And if I worked by myself, I would be working 20 hours a day and I'd be miserable. So I started looking and saying, this is where I'm going. Is this where I want to go? And I said, well, if I start building a team, I can have a little bit more freedom. I can do, talks like this. I can do traveling and speaking, which is something that calls me in my soul. Let's do it. And from there, it became very easy, because once you make the decision, you'll figure it out.
The power of leveraging. That's just amazing, right? What are the top 3 skills you look for in people, especially when you're building that team and when you're recruiting? It's also having that culture fit in mind. You don't want to lose the culture of the company as well, or the startup when you're starting out.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, there's very few things I look for, my friend. A lot of people will say, oh, I want this and that. I want one thing, and this thing cannot be lied about, right? I can look at somebody and I can tell if they have this. If they ask me a question, or if they say, I want to work for you, and it's desire, right? The guy that I took, Kevin, my newest agent, on paper, probably not the best, one of the worst. In person, very introvert, very scared, very nervous. But when I looked at him, I said, man, this is somebody who will do whatever it takes to get what they want. And if I can have one person like that working for me, that's perfect, because I can use him like clay and mold him. And that's really been I would say the 2 things is desire and willingness to learn, because now he's been with me 2 months and he's a different person. He walks differently. He speaks differently. His emotions are completely different. He's already doing business. He's making money, and he's just completely transformed. But the raw material was there, which to me is, I'm open to learning and I have the desire and I'll do whatever it takes. And I think those can't be taught, right? I think desire, somebody will have for a certain thing, and that certain thing that they tell you that they want has to line up. And if you don't have that, I think it'll be very difficult for somebody in an entrepreneurial space to, hit the top.
Fair enough. Being an aerospace engineer myself, and I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of people from different backgrounds watching this video. For anyone who wants to get into real estate, what piece of advice do you have for them? And do you have to have a certain degree or like a course or diploma to get into real estate at all? Is that something that probably we'd need for real estate at all?
Great question. As far as here in the United States, you do not need a degree. It depends on what state you're in as far as the requirements, but typically you take a few courses, 2 or 3 courses, then you take your test for the particular state that you live in, and then you're licensed, right? You pay a couple of fees and that's it. But as far as advice for somebody coming in, I would say be ready for whatever you expect, the opposite, right? The people closest to me were against me, right? All my family, people were telling me, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. You've never done sales. Obviously when you get into this world, there's so much when you're new that you almost feel overwhelmed. It seems like this huge beast that you can't conquer, but understand that you will probably go through some of the toughest times of your life when you start it, mentally and emotionally, because you will be tested. You will be, it's like David against Goliath and you're David. Are you going to find the rock and hit him between the eyes? Or are you going to run around and get chased by Goliath, right? And that's really what it is. It's David against Goliath. And Goliath, I would say, is your mind.
The reason why I asked you about whether we need that certain degree to get into real estate is because I want to ask you this specific next question about it. What's your view on our actual educational system as it is, Bryan? And do you think that we need to change that educational system, especially with entrepreneurship in mind?
Yeah, well, I'm more of a rated R person, but I won't cuss here. It is crap. I think it's absolute crap. I think it's horrible. Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would say it's absolute shit. It's horrible because what do let's think about the experience that we had or that our friends would talk about. Everybody would memorize to pass a test to then forget all the material. We would only look forward to hanging out and going to parties in college and high school. So it was like school was something like a nuisance. We went, but we didn't want to do it. When I found myself getting into real estate and now studying material like sales and self-help that I enjoyed, man, I dove into that material and I really cherished it. When I went to go pay or even go to free to a seminar, I was there and present. I was paying attention. I was excited. I was like, yes, this is what I want to learn. So I think that element needs to be put into the educational system, and we need to cover subjects that are relative to life. Like social skills are never taught in school.
Yeah.
And then I go out to a local pub or a club or a bar or even a restaurant and just seeing people interact. It's so bad. I'm like, you're 40 years old, you're 35 years old. How do you not know how to communicate right? You're grown, but this isn't taught. So I think it needs to be made more about relative things that people will use in life versus just, memorize this date for the test. So absolutely, I think the whole system needs a revamp, 100%.
Sure. I mean, definitely there's a few things that we can't change. For instance, medicine or law, that you need a degree for that. But for most part, even for an aerospace degree, what I've basically learned from going to universities, what do I have to know? That's what they teach us. Right? What do you have to know? And by when I need that done. That's basically what they tell you. And if you have the discipline, again, the word comes again, discipline of finding what you have to do and by when you need to get it done, then you're an entrepreneur. You're not an employee.
Right.
I'm going to ask you this next question, which is about to really succeed, which you are already in entrepreneurship and business. What top qualities would a person need? You mentioned that briefly, like communication, but what other things,
Well, I would say two things that I can highlight that some people probably don't talk about. Every entrepreneur that I've seen, right, whether it's real estate or non-real estate related, everybody who sticks with it eventually has at least one or two moments where they start to get a little bit of success, right? Maybe they were not getting any sales and all of a sudden they get one or two. That moment right there to me defines what they do if they're going to fail or succeed. A lot of people will work, get one or two sales, and then suddenly mentally they think they made it, or they don't follow proper procedure on their business plan. Like, hey, when I make my first income, I make my first sale, 10% is going to go to reinvesting into my marketing, 10% back into this. And suddenly everything that was written goes out the window. Okay. That to me means they have a messy mindset and they're not going to be successful. Okay. Number two is your ability to adaptability, right? You see this in nature with animals, right? If they are in a situation where they don't feel comfortable, to the degree that they adapt will determine if they survive or not. So I had to adapt. When I got into real estate to now, things have changed. Facebook marketing is huge now. When I got into real estate, nobody did that or nobody heard of it. So, and we're doing it now, right? I'm adapting. I'm not just doing what I did when I started. So I think if you're smart, as far as I could say, probably business planning and money management from the first point, right? In crucial points, and also your adaptability, I think that will take you a very long way in business, for sure.
Be a shark, I guess, because then you'll survive for millions of years. Adaptability is one of the main things that we need to focus on. I mentioned you woke up at 5 today, is it, Bryan? So what's your morning routine, Bryan? And what's the day in life of Bryan like?
Sure, yeah. My morning routine is pretty simple. I'll wake up early and I do one of two things right when I wake up. I either pick up a book that I'm reading and read for about 45 minutes or an hour, or I go straight to the gym early in the morning. I alternate. When I get back, I get ready, eat something, and usually early in the morning, I'm on the phone with somebody practicing dialogues with clients, right? Or I go directly to getting on the phone and making my phone calls and doing my real estate work, right? So that first 3 hours is non-negotiable. I do the same thing all the time. And a way for people to make a better click in their mind, don't think of it as a routine, think of it as a ritual. That's a much more powerful word. I have a morning ritual, right? But that's basically the morning, man. And from 8 a.m. to about 12 p.m., it's all real estate activities, whether it's I'm on the phone, I'm knocking on doors, or I'm doing something with building my real estate business. But the 5 to 8 a.m., that's something that never changes at all. 8 to 12 can be a little flexible. 5 to 8 is in concrete, chiseled in the stone.
Amazing, amazing. And also I noticed in some of your interviews, you mentioned that you work about 6 hours a day. So we're talking about probably around 2, 3 p.m. you're done, basically. Am I right?
Yeah, then I transition more into my social media stuff and some of the other stuff that I'm doing.
So you're still working, but it's just for you, work is real estate, like fully into real estate. Perfect.
Right.
Okay, so tell us about goal setting. You mentioned that as well. You have to have these very clear goals. What are some of the goals you've hit in recent years, and how important was it for you to pay yourself first once you've hit these goals?
Well, man, there's a lot of goals that I've accomplished in the last couple of years. I can think of the houses that I've gotten, the cars, the income goals that I've set, my lifestyle goals that I've set. And this is really what I think is the key to it, right? A lot of people will say, well, I want to make $1 million, right? They'll say, I want to make $1 million. But when you really start asking them and questioning them, it's not a clear goal. It's just you told them what are your goals and they feel like they need to come up with an answer. And I think it's either that or people believe they have a goal, but it's somebody else's. Right? If you're brought up your whole life being told by your mom and dad, you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, you need to become a doctor, and that individual now tells me he wants to be a doctor, you can tell very quickly if that's really what he wants or what he doesn't, right? And people will settle and be like, well, I'm just going to get married and do this and be a doctor. But you can tell they're miserable. So I truly believe that one must sit with themselves. I used to do this on Sundays. Just by myself, no phone, no nothing, just a pad and a pen. And I would ask myself, what do I really want? And if what I was writing and the thoughts that came to my mind didn't excite me, then I was like, okay, that's not a goal anymore. It has to excite me, right? And the moment you start setting these goals, what people fail to do is set a date to achieve them. So when I set my original goal to get the Lamborghini, it was from April of last year. I ended up getting it in June. So it took me 2 more months. But I set that date and I was working tirelessly to do that. And I ended up getting it 2 months later. So I didn't technically hit the goal, but I still got what I wanted. And when you do accomplish your goals, people don't have a reward system. They don't clap for themselves. They don't cheer for themselves. Everybody's very quick to criticize themselves, but they never praise themselves. And I think that will put your life much more in balance, right? If you're critiquing yourself and you're putting yourself down, to that same degree, you have to pat yourself on the back and say, good job. This is where society messes with us is if you praise yourself, what do they say? Hey man, humble yourself. That's too much. I'm not saying go proclaim to the world that you're the best thing, but you yourself acknowledge yourself and say, you know what, man, you're doing a good job. Very good. I talk to myself in the mirror, by the way. I'm like, you know what, man, you're doing excellent. You're kicking ass. You're disciplined. You're a badass. And that fires me up, right? That's not me going crazy or thinking I'm too much. It's proper acknowledgement. I'm working hard every day. I'm sticking to what I'm doing. I'm going after these goals. I'm stretching and growing every day. So if I'm going to critique myself, which is okay, why would I not praise myself to the same degree? And I think the critique is way up here and the praising is down here. And that causes a lot of people to suffer.
The man in the mirror never lies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like integrity of honesty, as in like integrity is the truth you tell to yourself rather than the truth that you tell to others, So, the reason why I asked you this question was because I wanted to hear that piece of Lamborghini in it. It feels good. I won't lie. There are about $6 trillion in circulation every single day. But the problem is that people are not aware of how to make that money. And you can be at the right place at the right time, but if you're not aware of it, there's no point, right? So how can you increase that awareness? And for people not sure of how to increase that, What's the importance of reading books and having mentors in life, Ryan?
Well, the main reason the books, the mentorship, and raising your awareness helps is because, for example, I tell this to everybody, over here in Los Angeles, you have some of the worst neighborhoods, lowest income, highest poverty areas, but within 20 miles or less, you have some of the most affluent real estate and people that are worth top 10 in the world. And I tell people, if the person who lives in the most poor area never even gets out and sees or experiences abundance, how is he going to really know what it is if he never meets these people who like a mentor would tell them? Even listening to conversations, I remember listening to conversations when I was new into real estate and hearing what they were saying, what? Like that's normal for them? That doesn't make sense. They're talking about buying buildings for millions of dollars, and I'm just like, whoa, I just want to make a couple $1,000s. So it forces you to grow. And I really think that reading other people's experiences, getting out there and experiencing life, right? Meeting people, seeing what's possible, that will feed into you realizing, hey, there's a lot of money to be had. This is, wow, okay, I can do this. This guy that I met bought a yacht. I can do it too, right? If he did it, he came from nothing, then obviously I can do it too. And I think people need to enhance their perception. That would be the proper wording. Get out and look. I used to, and I still do this. I will purposely once a week go to a nice restaurant in Beverly Hills or deep in Orange County to get myself more acquainted with that. I want that to be normal for me. I don't want it to be a special occasion. I want the finest of the finest to be my everyday experience.
All right. If you can learn basketball, learn it from Michael Jordan. I'm not into basketball, but you might correct me if I'm wrong. Michael Jordan is the best player still. Right. Learn from him while he's still there. Who mentored you, Bryan? Who mentored you? Because you're like the finest of the finest. So there should be someone who has mentored you to make you who you are right now.
Yeah, I have a few that I can name. Personally, in real estate, I would say Nelson Sanchez. He's the one who mentored me a lot when I was new in my first Century 21 company. Close friends, I can say Arash Dibazar is a great mentor of mine. You can find him online. I listened to a lot of Anthony Robbins. I've gone to his events, Jim Rohn, Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, all the ones a lot of people study. The only difference, man, is I think that whatever they said, I did it and I applied it immediately. And I really think that's the difference. I mean, you're all going to find mentors and you're going to learn from them, but how much are you actually going to apply? Because my mindset was this. I said, my repayment to the mentors that mentored me, I want to be the one that they say, hey, follow Bryan. He's my best student and he is a living version of my philosophy. Watch what he does. That to me would be an honor. And that's kind of how I approached it. To be the master of the master, you first must be a master student. Remember that.
So insights versus instinctive changes, basically. So you'd rather have these changes rather than those just the facts, learn. But more than that, apply what you've learned. That's amazing. We've talked about books a bit, and I'd love to know what's your favorite books out there, and share with us what you've learned from that book, which sort of took you from being unconsciously incompetent in a certain area to unconsciously competent, where something that you didn't know before, but now you know about it.
Right. I can name a few. If we're going to talk real estate first, I read a book by Mike Ferry, who is probably the top real estate coach in the States. It said how to develop a 6-figure income in real estate. And I love that book because it was just very straightforward. Do this, done. And it was very simple and very in tune with my style. So it was perfect. On the other side, I would say another book that really opened my eyes was Unleash the Power Within. No, sorry. Awaken the Giant Within. Sorry, by Anthony Robbins. That one was great because it got me to open my mind a little bit, right? Because I remember that book more than anything. It gives you a few NLP techniques and all that stuff, but it's really just about understanding that there's more to life than the moment that you're thinking of or the current situation that you're in, right? And it just opened my mind to really experience life more, right? If that makes sense to people. And if I can name any other book, probably Think and Grow Rich, because Napoleon Hill interviewed all those top people. And it got me to realize, and just like you said, a lot of them didn't come from money. A lot of them came from nothing and then made themselves multimillionaires. So it was seeing that and hearing it and reading it over and over that said, okay, I can do this. If this many people can do it, I can do it. I can figure it out.
In a way, when you pull, you sort of have a hard life, right? So I believe that the harder your life is, the more beautiful your story at the end. So if anyone watching out there is having a hard time, just remember at the end, you have a better story to tell to the world. I think you're a very successful person, Bryan, and you have all the rights in the world, in the entire universe, to be honest, to answer my next question. What's success for you, and what's your real definition of success?
Well, success for me, man, is living the life that I always wanted to live and dreamed, right? So, when I look in my mind's eye, I'm not there yet, right? There's so many elements to my life, but that would be the definition, right? I don't think it's any monetary number or anything like that. Is everybody, if they really take the moment, can say, okay, if I could snap my finger and be living that life, whatever that is, the moment you can say, yes, I've done it, that to me is success, right? And the whole journey along the way to me is an experience that I'm really finding fulfillment in, because you said it earlier, there's no top, right? We as human beings have a potential that's limitless. Who will ever tap into the full potential of a human being in the mind? I don't know, but I'm having fun pushing the limit. And that's kind of one of the things that keeps me going, is saying, can I push myself more mentally, physically, and this and that? But that would be my definition, man. It would just be living the lifestyle that you always dreamed of and that you wanted, right? And if you get there, great.
That's amazing. I love that definition, Bryan. But more importantly than just success, I'm going to ask you this question, which is, I think you're the best suited again to answer that. What's failure?
Failure. I truly believe that failure, because I don't use that word, right? When I tell people that you see something as a failure, it's simply just feedback, meaning, it didn't work, right? But let's try again. But the only way I would be able to say somebody's a failure is if they gave up, right? Because you have two options. You make a mistake and then people call it failure. You can keep going, right? I knock on the door, the guy slams the door in my face. Oh, it's a failure. No, it's not. I have the next door to knock on, and the next door. So if I could answer that, man, just so you understand where I'm coming from, I would say it's the one who gave up and said, okay, that's it, no more. That to me is failure. Otherwise, you're not a failure, right? If you're still going at it every single day, you haven't failed. You just haven't succeeded yet.
Fair enough. So it's like, take a risk, but never give up. Yeah. What were some of your biggest challenges that you faced in your life and in business, and how did you go about facing them?
Yeah, life for sure. The moment that I stopped playing basketball and I kind of fell into that depression, what helped me the most was, again, kind of like what I learned in that book, Awaken the Giant Within. You have to put things in perspective, right? If anything, how am I viewing this? I started looking at things differently, right? They say when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. And that's what I said. I said, well, okay, I didn't make what I wanted to make in basketball. Let's try something new, right? Where can I apply myself and the skills that I've acquired and have success? Oh, okay, let's try here. Let's try here. And I went. And what got me out of it was seeing possibilities, not seeing the end, seeing the beginning, right? Okay, this is a new chapter. Boom, let's get started, okay? Business-wise, probably the first couple months of real estate, because even with all the preparation that I did, there was still a piece of me that expected success right away. Like, oh, I'm gonna do well right away. There's gonna be no struggles. I've learned from all the right people. Even though in the back of my mind, I remember all my mentors telling me, you will suffer, it will be tough, you will go through hard times. That's what kept me going, because I was falling on my face, putting in all this effort and not seeing return. But having the voice of my mentors in the back, and then everybody that I studied saying, you have to pay the price. You have to pay the price. That's ultimately what kept me going the next day and the next day and the next day. So I would say those are probably two of the most challenging moments of my life, especially within the last 5-10 years.
Amazing. I think it's clear enough now that real estate can make you very rich and can definitely make a few hundred, I don't know if you agree with that, hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars in there.
True.
Okay, so through that, so with that comes a lot of supercars, a jet, a yacht. But there must be something more than just money at the end of this game that we're all playing. life, right? So let's talk about impact over income, Bryan. Would you agree that giving to others makes one more money and success than just, taking? And talk about your impact that you're doing right now for social media.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Yeah. That's something that has kind of made its way into my list of duties and things that I want to do to be fulfilled, is help more people. I didn't realize the impact it was having early on. And then, I start adding now on the daily how many messages I get. Thank you. Oh my God, it changed my life. And it's crazy. So I think beyond what we just said about the millions of dollars, it is the impact, because I truly believe that we forget how much impact one person can have. Like, think of all the people that Tony Robbins has changed their life, right? That's just one guy, right? And to me, at that point, if you are a vessel for change and empowerment, inspiration, whatever you want to call it, because I think everybody can leave a different mark, then I believe it's your duty at that point to start to put it out. That's why I do the Instagram lives every day. I'm always posting the videos. I do a daily video on YouTube pretty much now. I almost feel like an obligation to do it, because it's beyond me now, right? And I think when you go beyond yourself as far as your spectrum of thinking, now you can really begin to give back on a scale that I don't think very many people can. Because if you don't have a following on YouTube or social media, how can you get eyeballs on you to deliver your message? So that's kind of the way I started looking at it. And I said, I have to get a following, or a bigger following, because this is beyond me. Team BC isn't just me and my team. It's this whole nation that we've created. And I want all of them to now create a wave of change on the planet. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm not just helping people with sales. I'm helping people up here. And that's ultimately what changes society and the culture.
It's amazing. In this journey of your life, building this incredible brand that, as it is today, Team BC or Bryan Casella, what did you learn about yourself, Bryan?
Man, what did I learn about myself? I learned that I really underestimated myself as far as what I could do. You think that we all tend to think we're just like this body, this one person, but my mental fortitude, I underestimated as well. We are so mentally strong. And you have examples now with social media like that. This is a guy I talk about all the time. The guy who I think was born without any limbs.
Yeah,
he travels and speaks. Yeah, crazy, right? Crazy. Like, imagine being in his mind for a minute, right? And so for sure, underestimated myself. Tremendous amount of mental fortitude. The human spirit, right? I underestimated that too, because I went from somebody who was seen as more maybe relaxed and calm to now I'm just oozing with energy all the time. And that, I can't attest it to anything else besides the human spirit just wanting to wake up and and go out. So and just the ability for a human being to adapt too. I went from playing basketball to now selling real estate. Not really similar at all, but I was able to excel at both. So I think that speaks volumes of the human mind and what we can do.
It's amazing, right? I think that there's a secret in the Navy SEAL. I'm not sure if you know about it, the 40% secret. That basically what that means is that everything that we're doing right now is just 40% of what we can actually do. So there's a 60% to put in. If you're trying your hardest, right, the hardest ever, that's only 40%. Wait, let's do something right now. Bryan, lift your hand as high as you can. All right. Can you lift it a bit higher?
A little bit, yeah.
A bit higher?
Yeah. A little bit. It goes up like this much every time.
I was trying to keep you there because I was getting the camera focused on you. But anyway, what I've just proven there is that, when I say lift your hand highest you could at the first time, you lift it, let's just say there, and then I said higher, you keep going, So that's just to prove that whatever we do, the best we could is just 40%. And if you keep going, you would go 60% more. It's just proven there, I guess. Look, Bryan, you are just amazing. And I know you're a very, very busy man. So I'm going to soon wrap up. But what's next for Bryan Casella? Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
And I truly believe that within 5 years, the world will know my name. That's for sure. I do see myself being on some sort of real estate TV show. And I see myself also getting very connected with the top people in what is called the car world, right? I know a lot of people who work for the Fast and Furious franchise. I really want to get deep into that world, right? Because I love cars. Cars has always been something that I've enjoyed and a passion of mine. I'm buying cars like crazy right now. And I would say that, yeah. I mean, obviously you're going to see the improvements in houses and team and more sales and more money. But I would say those three things are the main things that I'm focused on.
Amazing. I can assure you one thing, Bryan, that you are very well known in the world, and sure you'll go way further than where you are today. I'm going to do a quick rapid fire round with you, Bryan, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah.
All right, let's do that. Okay, so the rule is simple. You can't pass. You just have to say anything but pass. Okay, so we start that, okay? And you can't take more than 2 or 3 seconds to answer. So you should be quick.
Okay.
All right. The most successful person you've ever come across?
Anthony Robbins.
One word you hate?
Hater.
Personal development or $1 billion?
Personal development.
Amazing. Number 1 real estate agent or realtor you've come across in your life?
Josh Altman.
Okay. If you could be any animal, what would it be and why?
Black Panther, because of the mystery around them.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning.
Your dream job?
What I'm doing.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Relentless, fierce, aggressive.
Your favorite movie quote?
Favorite movie, Fast and Furious.
Right. Where would you go if you were invisible?
Hawaii.
You should go to Mauritius, man. Trust me, it's much better than Hawaii. If you can get a yacht, what would you call it?
The Spartan.
All right, I like that. What is that one thing and that one person you take with you for a one-way mission to Mars?
Loida.
And the one thing?
The one thing? I would say my basketball.
Right. What is that first thing you noticed about someone when you first meet them?
Their eyes.
Amazing. What word would you add to the dictionary if you could, and what would that mean?
I don't know.
You can't pass. All right. Anyway, we'll make an exception here. One word about this interview.
Different.
Amazing. I like it. All right, Bryan. So the wrap-up question is here. If we had to forget everything we've talked about today and you had to give away just one takeaway message for everyone who's watching, what would that be? And you have about 30 seconds.
Refuse to accept other people's limitations. If you want to map something out, if you want to try something, do it. Other people will impose their limitations and opinions on you. Don't accept it. If you decide you want to do something, do it, and that's it. You're the authority. Amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was Bryan Casella. What a different person he is. Bryan, where can people find you before you leave us?
I'm everywhere. If you type Bryan Casella on Google, you'll find my YouTube, my Instagram, everything.
That's it. That's it.
Just
amazing.
That's my handle, Bryan Casella on everything. Just like you're written.
I'll make sure to link all your socials in the link below as well. And Bryan, well, this is the end of the interview, so I'll stop recording here. Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Still not understand.